what we're facing now is, control rooms, with firefighters in control rooms that mobilise fire engines to these incidents with fewer firefighters in them. They are stretched, they are beyond capacity.
There is now an exceptional risk of fire in England as the Met Office issues an amber extreme heat warning for today. The National Fire Chiefs Council has recorded more than 1,000 wildfires in England and Wales. The government has urged retailers not to sell disposable barbecues for fear they will spark blazes. Let's speak to Adam Taylor, National Officer for the Fire Brigade Union. Adam, morning to you.
Yeah, morning both.
Exceptional fire risk level, what does that mean in practice? Is that a common thing? How seriously should we take that?
I think we should be very concerned, in fact, actually. It's not just one exceptional wildfire. What we are seeing is repeated periods of extreme heat and extreme drought producing serious wildfires right across the UK, and firefighters are having to work far longer than they should in very hot and tough, difficult decisions. Look, firefighters are doing an outstanding job. This isn't a question of their professionalism. They are dealing with these fires. This is a question of the Fire and Rescue Service being fit for dealing with these incidents today.
And do you feel they're not?
No, we've been saying repeatedly for a while now that the UK Fire and Rescue Service hasn't got resilience in the system, and we've been calling for additional firefighters, 5,000 more firefighters to deal with these types of incidents that we see right across the UK.
I understood, and you can tell me if this is wrong, that the story of the last sort of 30 years, though, has been a gradual reduction in fires. We live in safer houses, we have better gear, we have better kit. Is that true that generally, I take the point about moments like this when you have big surges because of wildfires, but generally speaking, do we have fewer fires now than we did, say when we were growing up?
I think we have different fires. I think an additional risk we've seen in recent years is fires involving lithium-ion batteries. That's something that didn't exist as a risk, sort of 30 years ago. What we're facing now is, control rooms, with firefighters in control rooms that mobilise fire engines to these incidents with fewer firefighters in them. They are stretched, they are beyond capacity. And when these fires, take hold, we're seeing dozens of different fire and rescue services from across the UK travelling large distances to deal with these types of incidents. So there is a lack of resilience in the UK fire service.
What's the idiot level in all of this? How many fires are caused by idiots, do you think? Barbecues, cigarettes, people not taking care, going to a very, very dry area and acting stupidly?
It's not my place to call the ways fires are started.
Oh, come on, Adam. If someone drops a cigarette in the middle of a drought in a public place where it's dry as far as the eyes can see, they're an idiot. If they take a barbecue and it gets out of hand in the middle of a dry park, they're idiots. I think that's okay to say, isn't it?
I think that's your assessment. What we do urge is obviously the public to get behind the Fire and Rescue Service. What we want people to do is obviously take additional care in moments like this. We want people to take care at all times, but of course, when the risk is so high, we do obviously want the general public to get behind the Fire and Rescue Service, support them, and reduce the risk of these fires.
And not use disposable barbecues. Would you like that? Say that this morning. Someone who's thinking it's a hot day today, they could go to a park, go to a forest, bit of woodland somewhere with a disposable barbecue. What would you say to them?
Look, I think the government are obviously looking at this. And I think it's an important safety message. Again, obviously not to use those barbecues, and it's certainly in these conditions. But the key matter about this is that if disposable barbecues disappeared overnight, the risk remains.
I understand.
We've seen large fires started because of a car fire, down the side of a road, and spreading rapidly.
Yeah. You can't stop. I understand the point. You can't stop them but people should play their part. Is the point you're making? Adam, good to speak to you.
Thank you. Cheers, both.
Adam Taylor there, National Officer for the Fire Brigade Union.
England's fire risk is now classified as exceptional. Temperatures could reach up to 38 degrees Celsius today around the country, and the Met Office has issued an amber heat warning for the day. We've heard on the show today more than 1,000 wildfires have been recorded in England and Wales, and so the question is, what steps can we take to prevent them? How can we mitigate them? Rob Gazzard is the wildfire advisor to the Forest Commission. He joins us now. Very good morning to you, Rob.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on, Sam.
Thank you for being here. The first question I have to start with is, how long is this level for fires expected to stay at exceptional, and what does that actually mean?
Okay, so we're probably going to be in this situation for a few weeks now. What does it mean? Well, the Daily Hazard Assessment has defined red wildfire for Wednesday, today, Thursday, and also Friday. And that means the likelihood of ignition is very high. And that's due to a range of factors. So firstly, we've got very high temperatures. And it's likely to be in the high 30s this week, up today. We've got very low humidity. And we've got relatively strong winds, and most importantly, as you'll know, we're in drought conditions, particularly across the south of England, and we have got no rainfall expected for the next few weeks. So all those things come together, and that makes things very challenging. And additionally, you will also be aware that both the fire and rescue services and land managers across the country, across the whole UK, have been fighting wildfires now for 5 weeks. So that's a big challenge on resilience, and that's currently where we're at.
Okay, we were talking just earlier this morning to the National Officer of the Fire Brigade Union, and we were asking the question about human responsibility and human involvement. And yes, of course, there's these huge contributing factors that are all happening at the same time with the wind and the dry conditions. But how much of these fires are started by humans?
So we've only ever had 3 recorded lightning strikes that resulted in wildfires in the UK, as to the best of our knowledge. And we don't have wildfire investigation in the UK. It's unusual. We have excellent fire investigation for buildings and properties and cars, etc., but we don't have it for wildfire itself. And that's something the Forestry Commission is working on. We have a project, and we have a plan for doing that. But we pretty much understand that most of these fires are either deliberate or accidental. And let's give some examples of accidental. For example, we had tractors, and those tractors haven't had debris, vegetation, sawdust cleaned from inside them. The tractors got hot, and then those tractors have combusted. So that material which has been building up on the tractor, being heated, or there's a spark, suddenly causes a fire. The same thing's happened in combine harvesters and other machinery. So wildfires can occur either deliberately or accidentally, and that's a big challenge for us right now.
Okay. And so basically, what would your messaging be to people who are out and about, whether that's farmers working on tractors or people trying to socialise in parks? Because we can sit here and say, Rob, use your common sense. Obviously, don't take a disposable barbecue to a park. But that is not something that everyone thinks.
No, you're right. And this is a big team effort across the country now. Everyone's really much involved in this, so we can all help prevent fires from happening. So when we go and visit our countryside, as you mentioned, be a bit more focus on those challenges, particularly in our amazing woodlands and forests. Don't use any naked flames at all. That's really important. Bring a picnic to the countryside. Particularly favour that over bringing a barbecue. That's not a good idea right now. And if you see a wildfire, get to a safe place and call 999. But I also like to thank Forestry Commission. I'd like to thank Hampshire and Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Service for their response, along with other fire and rescue services in the New Forest, as well as our amazing staff who are working really hard to protect our forests and lowland heaths right now as well.
Yeah, everyone has been putting in a tremendous effort. Can I ask you, Rob, about the argument of banning controlled burning? There's an argument that's making wildfires worse, which is to say it's a green policy, but it's actually increasing the likelihood of wildfires. Is that true?
So controlled fires and prescribed burning is an art form, and you have to be really skilled and technically competent to use it. We use it in the Forestry Commission in the New Forest itself to ensure that the livestock have food, but also to manage for biodiversity reasons. So it's not a simple yes or no. It's a very subtle and nuanced debate and discussion. And a bit like when we're planting trees, we want the right fire in the right place for the right reason. And not all habitats are going to respond to prescribed or controlled fires as well as other habitats might do. And this is why we have practitioners, and we have foresters, and we have land managers and gamekeepers, and we have environmental organisations who use fire in a very careful way where it is appropriate to use it. And obviously we have legislation in place about where we can use controlled fire and prescribed fire, and obviously government's continually looking at these challenges, as obviously our climate changes as well. Nothing's ever staying static, it's always dynamic, and that's the challenge that we have.
And presumably, as these hot summers continue, as you mentioned, the climate changes, presumably we are going to see different regulations and legislation come in.
Well, that's a gift of government, and as the Forestry Commission is a non-ministerial government department, we work with government to ensure that we have the right legislation, the right regulations.
Would you like government to put in more legislation around fire safety?
Well, as a civil servant, I can't ask for that.
Okay.
Salma.
Fair enough. Thank you, Rob, for what you can tell us. I appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
That's Rob Gazzard there from the Forest Commission. Basically, stay smart. Don't take a disposable barbecue to the park.